Hi, this is Kaylin, and I'm here to help you get into the flow so that you are living the riches of life. That was a picture of me and my husband. I'm missing him because he's on a trip right now. So, today we're going to talk about the abundant use of the word enough. To back up, one of the things that happens is that a lot of the times we'll use a word and we'll really instill things like judgments in it, so that the word may not necessarily have a limiting belief to it, but it could very well have a judgment writing on in it, and that's going to affect us. It's going to affect how we think about things. It's going to affect how we see things. So recently I was talking with a friend of mine who's a pastor, and one of their topics was on enough, meaning that we gather so many material things that when is enough enough kind of thing, and that we really use some material things to try to fill an emotional hole within us, and at that point we can never have enough, and it doesn't make us happy. It does, on the other hand, though, tend to put us perhaps in debt and make us rather unhappy. Now, I really liked the whole idea to this 4-part sermon that she was picking up on and using to teach for her sermon and for her Bible studies and that kind of thing. But what I really didn't like is that for a lot of us, we might take on some of the judgment that's inherent with that word enough. You have enough, so don't ask for more. That's enough, so you should be happy and satisfied. Well, what happens when you're not? Are you supposed to take how you feel and sweep it under the rug? Are you supposed to deny it? Oh, look, I have enough. So, maybe I ran a marathon yesterday, but there's enough food on my plate, so it doesn't matter whether or not I'm hungry. I should stop eating when I'm done. Is that right? Should you monitor your life according to external things, external markers, or is that a really limiting way and a judgmental way to think of enough? When you think of abundance, is abundance unlimited? Is it by its own definition unlimited? And in that case, can there really be a judgment? Can there be too much? Can you really have so much that you really should have enough? Or is abundance always going to make room for you to have more than you need? If you look up at the stars in the sky at night, there are more than enough stars that you probably can't count them, and yet there's more. So you can say that the universe or spirit or your source energy, God, whatever you want to call it, doesn't define enough for you. It doesn't limit enough. It doesn't say you have had enough, so you should stop now. It's quite the opposite. There's always room for whatever it is, and if you want more and more, there's room for more. So does that mean that spiritually we should be very greedy? No. Does that mean that something outside of us should define when we should stop spending money because we've spent enough, when we should decide that we've maybe had enough to drink, maybe charged enough on our credit card? Or do those those parts that define enough, should they come from within you? And should you think of it as enough or not? Well, what if you put that all to the side, because the riches of life don't come from letting something external tell you that you've had enough. The way I really like to use the word enough in an abundant way is, do I have enough to maybe get an airplane ticket to go somewhere? Have I had enough food that I'm happy? So it's not like a limitation. I've had enough, I should stop. It's the opposite. Is this enough for me? Do I have enough money to buy what I want? Have I had enough fun that I'm ready to maybe leave a restaurant or, go home? Or in that sense, enough is telling you whether or not, I have enough to buy what I want. It's like, or I could have more. And so that doesn't have a judgment as much on it as it does, is this going to satisfy what I want or need right here and now? I hope you can get a sense of that subtle distinction. One can be limiting, and one can tell you that you shouldn't ask for more. You've had enough, you should stop. The other one is meant to simply measure, do I have enough? Have I meditated long enough today that I'm ready to stop and move on with the next thing in my day. So it's a measure, not necessarily anything to limit you. And it doesn't mean that you should stop at all. No, I haven't had enough meditation. I should have more. No, I haven't had enough fun. I'm going to stay at the party. So it's a distinction that's subtle, like I said, but one of the differences between someone who lives in the flow of life, feels much better about themselves and about their lives, and someone who can tap into more abundance and live the richness of life, whether it's in relationship, whether it's monetarily, in the amount of joy they're having. I like that. New word for you. The amount of joy they're having has a lot to do with how they look at abundance. Whether they feel like they have to cap things, like have a budget that's constricting and tight, or not. In other words, if I'm watching my money, but I'm on a budget, but I'm not constricting myself, another way to look at it is I'm watching my money. It can be called a budget, but I'm putting my money where I want to put it. Maybe it's that I want to send a payment to my credit card. Maybe it's that I want to put some money into savings. Whatever it is. And if I'm short on money, I might be short, but that doesn't mean I have to feel constricted. When we tap into the richness of life and when we tap into feeling abundant, we're really going to use that word enough in a different way. And instead, if we're short on money, we're going to recognize that we're short on money, and we're going to be okay with it and still put our money that we do have where we want to put it. We're not necessarily going to be limited or constricted by a budget, and it doesn't mean that we can't use a budget. A budget can be a wonderful thing. The question really is, ultimately, are you being constricted? Ultimately, are you asking yourself at a deeper level the question, is that enough? Should I not ask for more? Have I had too much, so I should stop? If the question is limiting your desire, if the question is trying to impose whether you ask for more or not, as opposed to you asking yourself, how am I? Do I feel abundant? Do I feel like I can, with not enough money to pay my whole credit card bill, for example, send a payment and feel abundant? Do you see how you can feel abundant from within and make that choice? You can recognize that maybe you don't have the time to have fun today, sit and read a book, because you have other things you have to do, but you can feel abundant and do the things that are important to you. Maybe it's important to you to get something done at work, or get some chores, some tasks done, some cleaning done, whatever it is. You empower yourself more and you tap into more abundance when you watch yourself and you ask yourself, how am I doing? What do I want to do? What do I need to do? Not coming from the outside and saying, that's enough, I have to stop, I shouldn't have any more. Okay, so here's a great example. That's enough. Should I stop the video? Have I been talking too long? Well, I think I've covered the point for you, and I really hope that I've illustrated the difference so that you use enough in a positive way with yourself that isn't going to constrict you, it isn't going to limit you, that you use the word enough as in, do I have enough to get that thing that I want, or should I keep going and get more? Because more is always available to me in an unlimited universe. And that, my friends, is how you start to feel more of that richness of life, no matter how it is that you want to experience that richness in the flow. Thanks for joining me.